Good morning. Welcome to Mayor's Weekly, and we're pleased to have you with us. And the subject this morning is building permits in our city. Joining me is Kathy Chambless. Kathy is a part of overseeing the compiling of the summary of building permits that they're issued in the course of a month. I get that summary in the early days of the new month, and it provides a great deal of information. And we'll talk a little bit about the information and what can be learned from this, and then Kathy will talk a little bit about the requirements of getting a building permit. But let's look at it from a standpoint of what you can learn about what's happening in your community from this summary of building permits. And the economic impact of new home construction is huge. It provides jobs. It generates sales tax revenue. It helps in growing the city's population. And this summary for this month I'll touch on in just a minute. But in talking with our building inspector just a few days ago, he's been on board with the city for 15 years now. And what he told me, Kathy, is that in 2021, we issued more building permits than any year that he's worked for the city. So it's a pretty good indicator that things are moving along nicely. If you travel across our city, you'll see construction underway. This particular building report permit summary indicates that in the month of April there were permits issued for looks like 21 new homes.
Yes, sir.
And, and if you average, if you rounded it to $200,000 each, that's $4 million worth of construction that will happen in our city. And then you move on from there to other things like remodels, enlarging your home, that sort of thing. And Kathy, let's talk a little bit about that. As I look down this report, which I do in detail every month, and let me get back here. I see one building permit for a roof repair that was for $1,200, and the permit fee was $20. What are the rules on that, Kathy?
Well, first of all, we have an ordinance that requires a permit for any new construction, whether it's residential or commercial, that takes place inside the city limits. So we're going to write permits for any remodeling as well that is done by a contractor that's over $1,000. So that's just the rule of thumbs. If the contract cost of the job that's going to be done is over $1,000 and it's going to be done by a contractor, they're going to have to bring in their plans to the building inspector, who's located at our annex, and he's going to review those plans. It's also going to be reviewed by our city planner, because he's looking at zoning. Is that construction going to take place in an area that's zoned properly for that type of construction? But Billy Swan, who is our building inspector, is going to really take those plans and look at them in detail, get a good understanding of what's going to be built, and he's also going to monitor that construction during different phases as it's being built. He will be inspecting such things as the wiring, the plumbing, as it's being constructed, because here Alabama Power won't connect a building until Billy releases it and says that that particular construction has met the 2015 building code, which is the building code that
On a new structure, that's referred to as a certificate of occupancy, is that right?
That's correct. And so once he turns that inspection over to Alabama Power, they will connect it for power.
Well, Kathy, let's just say a person, I saw a situation on some of that, that all the work is happening under the existing roofs of the home. Let's hypothetically, you wanted to completely remodel your kitchen, maybe $10,000. That'd require a permit, would it not?
If the homeowner is going to do it himself,
Yeah.
then it is something that we are not requiring a permit on.
Yeah.
And of course, then there won't be any inspections
Okay.
of that particular remodeling. But if it's
But
something,
if they would hire a contractor?
but if they hire a contractor, absolutely, it has to be permitted.
Now, let me ask you this. Let's take that a step further. I see that John Doe is going to do such a project as I just described, and John Doe lists himself as a contractor, but in fact, he goes out and finds some subs and whatever. It's highly unlikely that John Doe can put in the granite countertops and do all the plumbing, that sort of. Is that a circumvention of the rules?
Maybe it's an attempt to circumvent the rules,
Yeah.
but I don't think that it would go unnoticed,
Right.
because Billy is out all day long all over the city of Jasper, and part of that also falls under his umbrella of responsibility to look for contractors that may be working that those jobs are not permitted.
Yeah. And then another thing that Billy's efforts, if you're going to be a contractor, the Alabama State Licensing Board requires you to be licensed. So if you were to come to Jasper to do your kitchen job or whatever, and you're not a licensed general, I think the threshold's $10,000, then if we picked up on that, then that's something else that we'd have to deal with, isn't it, if you're unlicensed?
Absolutely. And we used to see some of that with roofing off and on. I think that's gotten better, but yes, he will also look to see if those contractors are licensed by the state of Alabama, because we won't issue a business license to a contractor unless they are state licensed. We ask for their Alabama contractor cards.
Right. And Kathy, you every day you put hands on the money that flows into this city, sales taxes, ad valorem taxes, and other sources of revenue. From your perspective, you've been here a long, long time. Your thoughts on the impact of new home construction on the financial side of the city?
Well, Mayor, you mentioned that, or Billy had indicated that 2021 he had written more permits. But that just falls right in sync with the fact that sales tax growth was 14% in our last fiscal year, which is the strongest year that I have seen sales tax growth in the number of years that I've been here. So absolutely, those two things are impacting each other.
Yeah. Well, I was in a new development here in our city just a few days ago, and new homes under construction, some of the homes that are on this list. And I looked at all of the pickup trucks, and I looked at all of the construction workers. And, I thought about it. I said, those trucks have to have fuel, gasoline or diesel. I thought about all those construction workers, maybe breakfast, maybe lunch at a food vendor in our city, whatever other items that those folks may need. And having those folks, and my guess is a good number of those folks come from outside our city. So that's new money, if you will. And and that happens 5 days a week. And when you think about 21 new homes here, we'll be deep into 2022 before all of these homes are finished, and there are plans for more. And without question, that revs up sales tax revenue.
It will. We've just said, and when we're talking to outside people, like we're doing our bond ratings, that's one of the things they ask us about, because they also know how important it is to see that the area has the growth through building permits.
Well, let me violate my English teacher here, because we've just been down that road, and if you don't have any new construction, what they say, you ain't doing good. Is that right?
I think that's the way they would.
You ain't doing good.
That's exactly right.
Now, Kathy, let's talk about an unpleasant subject. We go out and we're going to start us a new home, and we ignore the requirement for a building permit. How will that play out?
Well, yeah, Billy.
He'll pick up on it.
He's going to pick up on it, and he can stop that construction.
He has the authority. He has police power. He can write a citation.
Yes, he can, and so it'll be dealt with.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what the monetary penalty is for doing that?
I don't. Most of our ordinances are, I think it's $500 for every day that you're in violation. So, but there, the judge could do more.
If you used to just kind of be nonchalant about it, let it run a week till you'd own a big bill, wouldn't you?
You would have a big bill, and you could be subject to being put in jail.
Yeah, good. Well, with all the building that's going on, construction, we're excited about it here at City Hall. We know what a positive impact it has on the city, but felt like it was timely to talk a little bit about that. We've seen cases where my belief that people just didn't know about the requirements of the building permit. And again, if you're adding a new heat pump at your house, you need a permit, don't you? And it'd be easy enough to overlook that or just not be aware of it. And that we need to share this information with you, and at the same time touch on what's going on in our city in the way of new residential construction. And that is a very, very powerful indicator that the city is on the right track, because the people, these 21 new homes are being built by one company. And you think about a $4 million investment, they haven't done that without doing their due diligence and feeling pretty good about the Jasper market, that they'll have a good absorption rate of these new homes. So another good report about our city, and it's those tax revenues that allow us to build sportsplexes, new city halls, pave streets, do all the other things that we're doing. I hope you will maybe read the paper today and see some of the expenditures we're making for our police department. Our police department operates with state-of-the-art equipment. If you look around, I understand this can change tomorrow. I think our crime rate is probably the lowest I can ever remember. You agree, Kathy? And having the technology, the state-of-the-art equipment that our officers have plays a big role in us thwarting crime in our city. So pleased to have you with us. As always, we welcome your questions, and we talk about transparency in government. There's nothing here that we will not share with you. I've said this many, many times, outside of an employee's personnel file. And so if you want how much money we have in the bank and or how much money we spent on something, you let us know, and it may take us just a little time to get your answer, but the answer will be forthcoming. So again, pleased to have you with us, and we'll look forward to being with you next week.